This module is an exercise that's called Many Parts in the IT Infrastructure. So it is a fictional scenario that we're building for a mobile IT conceptual architecture involving the UAE Youth Sports Authority, which is developing an application called SCORE, which stands for Sports Centers Online Registration for the Emirates. Again, this is fictional, so none of this is true. But it involves you, the IT director, leading the creation of a mobile government application. And the goal is that you want to achieve 80% registration and utilization of the sports venues and the sports events across the Emirates. And it's presently at 5%. And the goal is to make citizens happy. So our task is to design the conceptual architecture as part of this exercise. And let's start with a framework. This is a very high-level scenario, mobile framework, that involves having devices, front ends that we've been talking about, back ends, networks, a security overlay, and other services. And our task is to now take this scattering of different services and technologies. You see there feature phones and smartphones and CERT, incident response, carriers, tablets, all these things that are found associated with an IT infrastructure. And our task is now to allocate these things or elements inside of this framework and to see what kind of lessons we can draw from the exercise. So let's start with the devices. You'll see smartphones. You would expect to see that there, tablets. But what about personal area network and near-field communications? The feature phones, SSL certificates, laptops and desktops, encryption, mobile APIs, business logic. These are actually things that you would associate with the devices, particularly when we're talking about mobile devices that are going to have native and HTML5 applications that are going to have business logic and are going to have near-field communications kinds of capabilities, and are also going to need to be able to communicate over an encrypted channel, and that's why we have the SSL certificate listed there. On the front ends, we have the business logic. Once again, we have the validation of information to ensure that our web servers are getting the correct information. We have mobile APIs, the mobile DMZ, the SCORE website, kind of an important part of our scenario. On the back ends, we have our storage area networks, our network-attached storage. We have archival, disaster recovery, log collection, all the things that we've been talking about. We have organizational databases, more business logic. We have shared data resources, compliance is another example, and even disaster recovery. So what about our networks? We have the carriers for mobile connectivity. We have the wide area network, the local area network, the PAN that we've talked about a moment ago, and the log analysis in terms of understanding how the traffic is going across our network. The security overlay has many aspects to it, many elements or things that belong there. Identity and access management, the mobile DMZ, CERT, which is a connection, a relationship with the computer emergency response team at a national level, incident identification and incident response, reputation management possibly, also disaster recovery, also part of the security overlay, software assurance, log analysis, and authorizations to the network resources as well. Other services, some of this we've talked about, the CERT, Trusted Security Manager, Disaster Recovery, Trusted Services Manager, Reputation Management, Shared Data Resources, and mobile app stores. So what are the lessons that we want to convey with this kind of an exercise? The first one is that it's not as easy as make an app. There's a lot more that's involved here. You won't control all the parts or the things or the assets. It's best to start with simple applications and grow the capabilities like through iterations of releases like Apple and Google actually do. It is really an ecosystem that is being built of many cooperating organizations, many parts that are operating asynchronously, and keeping your end goal, making happy citizens, is critically important. It is a partnership at the end of the day, government plus citizens and plus the private sector in order to make all this work. So complexity is the enemy of security. That's been said many, many times. And there are many points where it can be compromised. And one can argue that the most vulnerable piece is the software, the apps. So that's a place to pay attention with respect to security. And I hope these lessons will give you a sense of what it takes to actually make an app, because it's not as simple as make an app.